Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to explore a major breakthrough in venture capital, dialectic. This is a system designed to scale the VC investment committee using multi-agent AI. The core idea here is simple but revolutionary. We are shifting rigorous, argumentative diligence all the way up to the very top of the startup screening funnel. Let's look at the fundamental problem we're solving. There is a severe trade-off between evaluation diligence and screening capacity. On a macro level, the market is exploding. Annual U.S. business formations recently jumped by nearly 40% to 5.2 million, and the VC market is projected to hit $1.46 trillion by 2033. But all these startups have to squeeze through a tiny bottleneck, human investor bandwidth. Because investors face immense time pressure and information overload, deep, iterative thesis building has historically been restricted to the final stages of the decision funnel. At the top of the funnel, humans are forced to rely on fast, shallow heuristics. So, how have startup screening methodologies evolved to address this? Human VCs are bottlenecked by bandwidth, spending hours per deal, using heuristic and narrative debate. Traditional machine learning, like XGBoost, scales better but relies on statistical pattern matching, meaning its interpretability is very low. It's essentially a black box. Then we have dialectic. By using simulated multi-agent debate, the compute scales dynamically with zero human bandwidth limits. More importantly, it offers high interpretability through a glass box approach, making the actual argumentation entirely visible. How does this actually work? Dialectic is a structured LLM reasoning system that models how human investors form an investment thesis. It operates in three distinct phases. Phase 1 is the fact collection engine, which gathers unstructured data and structures it into a hierarchical knowledge base. Phase 2 is the reasoning engine, which synthesizes those facts into opposing arguments and refines them through iterative critique. Finally, Phase 3 is the decision-making phase, where surviving arguments are scored against a customizable risk threshold to yield a final verdict, invest or pass. Let's dive into Phase 1, structuring chaos. We start with seed questions covering the general company, team, product, and market. A decomposer agent breaks these down into highly specific, industry-relevant sub-questions, for example, breaking the market down into total addressable market versus serviceable obtainable market. Then, the answer agent executes live web searches and pulls from databases like Crunchbase to build a cohesive fact base. In Phase 2, we set up opposing narratives. The generator agent takes that assembled fact base and drafts initial arguments for both the pro and contra stances. We enforce strict constraints here. Every argument must be concise, under 100 words, and it must explicitly cite factual nodes from Phase 1. Importantly, simply lacking data cannot be used as a standalone contra-argument. Next, we enter the multi-agent debate loop, which essentially simulates an investment committee. We have three stations here. At Station 1, the critic plays devil's advocate, viciously attacking opposing arguments to highlight logical gaps or weak evidence. At Station 2, the evaluator acts as the judge, scoring the arguments on a rigorous 14-point taxonomy. Finally, at Station 3, the refiner, acting like an associate, takes the critic's attacks and the judge's score to rewrite and bulletproof the argument. This loop repeats to weed out weak logic. It really is survival of the fittest. We had to engineer the optimal debate depth to prevent AI hallucinations. As you can see on this chart, 5 arguments enter the arena, but only the highest scoring refined arguments survive to the next round. We found a sweet spot at exactly 2 iterations of refinement, keeping 4 arguments per side. If we push past 3 iterations, we hit the danger of over-refinement. Performance drops sharply due to redundancy, narrative drift, or hallucination. The debate has to be capped to remain grounded in reality. Phase 3 is where we calculate the final decision score. After those iterations, the room converges on a dominant narrative. The system sums up the quality scores of all surviving pro arguments, subtracts the contra arguments, and applies a customizable decision threshold of margin of safety. If the final score is greater than 0, the system outputs a formal invest signal. Of course, we had to prove this works in the real world. We conducted empirical backtesting using a dataset of 259 real startups extracted from the actual watchlists of 5 distinct VC funds back in 2021. To eliminate look-ahead bias, the AI was strictly restricted to historical data from January 2022 and Wayback Machine archives predating the startup's funding announcement. The ground truth was simple: success was defined strictly as raising a Series A or later by September 2025. The predictive performance is remarkable. Out of those 259 startups, the human VCs made 6 investments, and 2 were successful. That represents a single, narrow operating point. Dialectic, on the other hand, produces a full-ranked frontier. It matches human VC precision in the high-confidence region, but provides a comprehensive spectrum of opportunities with scalable recall, rather than just a single binary guess. Because Dialectic outputs a ranked decision score rather than a black box probability, it features a threshold slider. VCs can dynamically adjust their risk appetite to match their screening capacity. A high threshold filters out the noise, prioritizing only the strongest, most defensively argued opportunities for capacity-constrained funds. Conversely, lowering the threshold captures edge case unicorns for funds that are optimizing for maximum recall. We also performed a glass box audit to see what evidence actually builds conviction for the AI. Product and general info made up the bulk of the factual citations utilized. However, the AI placed the highest premium on the team. Team evidence had the highest utilization ratio. This means the AI disproportionately reaches for founder backgrounds and track records to build its strongest winning arguments. Dialectic organically replicates established industry behavior, proving it has learned to prioritize founder attributes just like human partners do. Synthesizing all of this, Dialectic redraws the entire geometry of the investment pipeline. In a traditional VC funnel, up to 95% of the top is filtered using shallow heuristics. Dialectic completely changes that shape, using deep, multi-agent deliberation for 60% of the funnel. The true breakthrough is the ability to drag late-stage, high-quality debate all the way up to the top-of-funnel screening phase. We are no longer filtering by heuristics, we are filtering by thesis. In conclusion, this is the future of startup evaluation. Dialectic offers unprecedented scale by eliminating bandwidth bottlenecks, allowing funds to apply rigorous, documented thesis generation to thousands of companies instantly. It provides transparent logic, abandoning black box machine learning for human-readable prose backed by traceable web citations. And it offers customizable risk, replacing rigid binary predictions with a fluid, adjustable decision frontier. Thank you.